This is the brand new Poco F7 Ultra, and this is the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, and they both have Ultra in their names, but what if I told you that the Poco is half the price of the Samsung? I know I have your attention now, so with this big of a price difference, what are you missing out on and what makes these different? Well, I've been using them side by side for the last few weeks, and I've partnered with Poco to come back to Singapore and show you the key differences between these two, including a camera comparison. And we're also going to throw in the Poco F7 Pro, which is even more affordable. So I'm going to help you make a buying decision between these two phones. So we got a lot to talk about. Let's just go ahead and get started. First, let's talk about the hardware and specs to see how much of a bargain the Poco is. The Galaxy S25 Ultra is larger and is a bit boxier than the Poco F7 Ultra, and the F7 Ultra has rounded corners, so it's a little more comfortable in the hand without a case, but they're both built great. The S25 Ultra does have a titanium frame while the F7 Ultra has a matte metal frame, and they both have matte glass backs but have a totally different vibe. The yellow version really does pop with black accents, which I think stands out, but the S25 Ultra has a more low-key look but looks premium, so let me know which one that you think looks better. Samsung has that classic triple camera ring setup, which I know some people love or hate, and the Poco has a very compact circular triple camera cluster, so I'm curious to know that which one you think looks better. They both have 120Hz AMOLED displays. The S25 Ultra is larger at 6.9 inches with a anti-reflective coating, but the Poco F7 Ultra has a large 12-bit 6.67-inch display that is paired with a brand new custom processor called the Vision Boost D7 chipset, which enhances graphics and HDR, especially when playing games or watching back content, so that is neat. Believe it or not, the Poco F7 Ultra has higher peak brightness at 3200 nits versus the 2600 nits on the S25 Ultra, but in everyday, real-world use, it was pretty hard to tell the difference. They're both bright. When it comes to battery life, the Poco F7 Ultra also has a slight advantage here with a 5300 mAh battery, while the S25 Ultra has a 5000 mAh battery. But the Poco has much faster charging speeds with 120 watt hypercharge that can go from 0 to 100 in about 34 minutes, while the Samsung is still stuck on 45 watt wire charging, which does 65% in 30 minutes. And the wireless charging is also faster on the Poco with 50 watt wireless charging compared to the 15 watt wireless on the Samsung, and they both have reverse wireless charging, which I was really surprised about. Speaking of surprises, at the starting price of $650, the Poco F7 Ultra has the flagship Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, which I'm sure makes this one of the most affordable 8 Elite smartphones available right now. So I think this instantly becomes one of the best values in the Android smartphone space. The S25 Ultra does have an overclocked version of the same chip, but do not worry about performance at all because gaming is smooth, the system is snappy, and all of that power with great efficiency is what you're going to get for half the price. At the launch event, Poco claimed that Genshin Impact, even running in 2K resolution, could get up to 120 frames per second on this device, and Bored at Work put that to the test where he tested the gaming on his phone thoroughly, so I'll leave that video linked down below if you want to watch it. The gaming capabilities are legit on this phone. And they both start at 256 gigabytes of storage, but it only costs $50 to move up to 512 gigabytes of storage on the Poco F7 Ultra. And they both have 12 gigabytes of RAM, and both of them come with the more premium ultrasonic fingerprint scanner as well. So what do you think about that? Isn't this amazing? The Poco F7 Ultra uses Xiaomi's HyperOS 2, so if you've used a Xiaomi phone in the last couple of years, you'll feel right at home here. It is highly customizable and has a lot of features, so you can make it look how you want. Samsung runs One UI 7, which I think is also one of the most customizable Android skins out there, so I'm sure a lot of people like this as well. I think the biggest differences besides the look of the interfaces as a whole is the focus on AI. Samsung is all in on AI, so there's a ton of Galaxy AI features that you can dive into, but that all depends on if you use it or not. While Poco doesn't have as many AI features as Samsung, they do have some of the ones that you will use on a daily basis, like HD Enhance to sharpen up photos, Expand, which is a big feature where if you want a little bit more in the frame, the Poco F7 Ultra can generate that extra space, which is cool for some photos. I like that you get an erase feature, which is probably the most important one to remove some unwanted objects from your photos. Like in this one, I can remove the random person that is behind us for a cleaner photo. There's also a remove reflections feature and a sky feature where I can change the sky to look like whatever I want for some really interesting outcomes. So it's nice that you get some AI editing features to enhance your camera experience. You also get Google Gemini as well, so features that are on the Galaxy S25 Ultra like Circle to Search are here, and Gemini can search core Poco apps like Calendar, Notes, and Clock to speed up daily productivity. Before we jump into the camera comparisons, let's talk about the differences between the Poco F7 Pro and the F7 Ultra. The F7 Pro has a lot of the same great core features like the same 120Hz 6.67-inch 12-bit AMOLED display, but it doesn't have that Vision Boost D7 chipset like the Ultra, but it still looks great. It actually has a bigger 6,000 mAh battery, which is surprising, but has 90-watt wired charging versus the 120-watt on the Ultra. No wireless charging on the Pro, so that's a notable difference. It is also powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor, which is still extremely powerful, still has the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. The difference that might make the most difference is in the camera cluster. They both have the same 50 megapixel main Light Fusion 800 image sensor with f1.6 aperture, so that's great. But the similarities stop there. You get an 8 megapixel ultra wide on the Poco F7 Pro versus the 32 megapixel ultra wide that is on the F7 Ultra. The front facing camera is 20 megapixels on the F7 Pro versus the 32 megapixel one on the F7 Ultra. And the Poco F7 Ultra has a proper 50 megapixel f2.0 2.5x telephoto lens, which is also used for macro photos and has a crop 5x option. And that also gives it a huge 60x zoom range, which is awesome, but the Ultra Zoom Beta kicks in at 20x and uses the power of Poco AISP to enhance the clarity and bring out the details. And I'll show you a few of those comparisons in just a minute. So I bet this is what you've been waiting for, side-by-side shots with the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra and the Poco F7 Ultra, but my journey actually started in Tokyo, Japan first. This was a birthday trip for my kids and the cherry blossoms were just starting to bloom, so this was a perfect time to test the cameras. Let me start out by saying that Poco has never really been known to have the most powerful cameras, but this is the phone that is set to change that mindset. When I first got there, I just wanted to see what the Poco F7 Ultra could do, so this is the only camera that I carried with me for a couple of days, and the thing that I noticed is that it captures vibrant and colorful shots, so if you like this type of processing, you're going to absolutely love it. The processing is very similar to Xiaomi smartphones, and that makes total sense, and I appreciated the amount of presets for styles that you have on the Poco F7 Ultra. There's a lot to choose from, and while I don't love all of them, some of them can give you some incredible outcomes with emotion and sometimes that filmic vibe, so make sure you try some of them out when you get this phone. The black and white mode also hits hard when used properly, so this camera software has a lot of choices for the advanced photographer and the point and shooters. I'm just going to show you some of the pictures that I took. I shot a ton of photos so you can see how it stacks up against the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, which is twice the price of the F7 Ultra. Like any flagship phone, the daytime pictures are great, full of dynamic range and detail. Like I said earlier, the Poco photos are more vibrant and brighter and tend to have more shadows lifted out of the camera versus Samsung's approach. I don't think it's Poco's mission to beat the Galaxy S25 Ultra's flagship cameras because you get things like 200 megapixel resolution, 3 and 5x zoom lenses with portrait mode, and tons of pro-level camera features like 4K 120 frames per second and more, but at this price point, the Poco should be getting killed by the Samsung, so let me know if you're seeing that in these sample photos. Here's an ultra-wide shot side by side and look very similar despite their spec differences. I think mobile cameras, especially during the day, are so heavily based on personal preference, but I think a lot of people will dig that extra vibrancy from the Poco F7 Ultra, but let me know who you think is doing better so far. The S25 Ultra has 5x telephoto versus the Poco F7 Ultra's 2.5x, so of course I had to do a zoom test. At the first zoom levels, they look very similar in terms of detail, but the 5x is cropped on the Poco F7 Ultra, while the S25 Ultra looks slightly sharper than the Poco. It kept up way better than I thought it would. Even at 10x, that is a respectable outcome, so the zoom at this price range is legit. And even at 20x, look at that, the Ultra Zoom Beta kicks in at 20x, so that helps sharpen things up. And here's a 30x zoom shot from much farther away down Sumida River. So let me know, are you impressed that the Poco is even keeping up here? The Poco S7 Ultra has a 32 megapixel selfie camera, while the S25 Ultra has a 12 megapixel front-facing camera. They look very similar during the day. I'm not a huge selfie taker, but this gave me more excuses to take them, so let me know which one that you like better in the comment section below. I took so many more pictures in Tokyo, so if you want to see a full camera comparison between these two phones, let me know in the comments and I can do that with all of the pictures that I took. When I got to Singapore, I got to eat at a few places that were on my bucket list. The first day, we got to eat lunch at Candlenut, which is a Michelin star Peranakan restaurant. My favorite was this crab curry. I thought it was perfectly seasoned and slightly spicy. The chicken curry was also nice, and the salad I think was a surprise hit for me. It was very refreshing. The beef rendang was flavorful and paired up nicely with the fragrant rice, so I could just show food pictures from these two phones the entire video because the food here in Singapore is so good. But I wanted to give you an idea what food photos look like side by side just in case you're a foodie like I am. The next thing I got to test was the macro photography on both of these smartphones at Gardens by the Bay. The Poco F7 Ultra uses the 2.5x telephoto lens to get close-up pictures, so I'm a fan of the telemacro approach. Poco is following the footsteps of many other manufacturers that are doing this, and I think it's it's overall a better approach since you can get so close. Don't get me wrong, the S25 Ultra's macro mode is also great, but it uses the more traditional approach of the ultra wide camera, so let me know which photos you think look better in terms of sharpness and clarity here. Gardens by the Bay is incredible, so if you get a chance to visit, definitely do so. The cherry blossom exhibit was also on, so that led to some great photos. This also gave me a chance to test the daytime 4K 30 frames per second video. They definitely have different approaches in the contrast, color, and white balance. I know I'm going back to Tokyo here, but video wise I'm seeing similar processing to the photos, brighter, more vibrant approach in this scenario on the Poco F7 Ultra, and thanks to that Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, the video zoom is quick and fluid, so the experience of the camera has been good so far with no issues with performance. So let's hope Poco continues to update this camera down the road with software patches and making it even better. I know you guys are waiting for some low light photos and videos, so the aquarium was the perfect place to start. Some of these parts are mixed lower light, so they both perform well. I think where it started to get interesting was where the jellyfish were. The photos can be kind of deceiving. It was not this bright in here, but you can see them going back and forth where the Samsung struggled to focus because of the movement and the dark environment, and sometimes where the Poco also missed and Samsung got it. But this was challenging nonetheless for both of these phones, but when they got the photos right, they both look great. Here is the 4K video to show you just how dark this environment really was, and I think both of them captured this way better on video than in the photos. I am actually impressed with the Poco F7 Ultra's video here for the price point. The details and sharpness were picked up clean here, so let me know if you agree. This is unexpected, but 8K video is also supported on the Poco F7 Ultra. It is captured at 24 frames per second versus the 30 frames per second on the Samsung, but I did not expect the resolution at this price point. This exhibit was fantastic to test out how these cameras handle different light sources and shadows. The S25 Ultra actually swaps with the Poco here, producing the brighter photos, which I found interesting. Very impressive captures here though from both of the zoom lenses. In some shots the Poco is actually sharper than the S25 Ultra and capturing the movement slightly better too, since these fish were moving quickly. I did get to walk around a bit at night to capture some video, and here's what the 4K 30 frames per second looks like side to side. I am walking at a moderate speed here, so let me know what you think of the stabilization of the main cameras. If you look at the video, the F7 Ultra is a bit noisier in this scenario, and with the front-facing camera, the video is limited to 1080p, so the video is going to be a little softer compared to the 4K on the Galaxy S25 Ultra, so there will be some flagship features that will be better from the Samsung, which are expected. But I think the thing to take away from this particular Poco launch is that they're not trying to beat the Samsung with a straight flagship to flagship, spec for spec war. They don't have to. The Xiaomi's there to do that with the 15 Ultra and other smartphones. This is to expand the Poco portfolio and to give their users the best value for their money with the most power possible, priced at $649. I mean, you can even get this for $599 if you jump on their early bird pricing. After using this for a few weeks, I think this is by far one of the best values in the smartphone space right now. I don't think anyone thought that the Poco was going to beat the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra in every way, and neither did I. But for the F7 Ultra to keep up the way it did with performance, hardware, and even the camera goes to show you that Poco is doing something very special here. And in many ways, I can say that this might be the closest thing to a flagship killer that we've seen in a long time. And I suggest that you check out the F7 Ultra if you don't want to spend flagship prices for a flagship experience. So let me know what you think about the Poco F7 Ultra in the comment section below. You'll see a lot more of this phone on my social media outlets, so make sure you follow me there. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.